Have you ever wondered why God seems distant, even when you're crying out with all your heart? The answer might be simpler than you think, but only a few ever grasp the depth of this truth. Most people go through their entire lives without realizing that God is always speaking. They just don't know how to listen. But right now, you're about to unlock this truth. Imagine for a moment that there's a secret frequency God uses to communicate. Most people live their lives distracted, lost in the daily noise, unable to tune into this frequency. But you, right here, right now, have the opportunity to discover how to align your soul with God's voice. And that, my friend, can change everything. God doesn't speak to a restless heart or a mind filled with chaos. If you feel disconnected, it's because you haven't created the space for the divine voice to manifest. Many keep asking for signs, but ignore the biggest obstacle: their own internal distractions. Ask yourself, are you truly ready to hear? Or are you still caught in the expectations of what you think you should hear? God speaks in the most unexpected moments, but it's up to you to be in the right state to receive. People who have mastered this art speak of total transformation. This isn't about blind faith. It's about a direct connection to the divine. And that's a power most people don't realize they have. The world surrounds you with so much noise that God's voice gets drowned out. But when you unlock this level of listening, everything changes. Begin to notice the subtle signs around you, the seemingly random encounters, the words that deeply resonate in your heart. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and those reasons are often God's way of steering your life. Here's a simple but powerful truth. God speaks in silence, and that silence is often something you avoid at all costs. Our modern society is obsessed with filling every moment with time, with space, with emotions. But it's in that emptiness, in the quiet gaps between the noise, that you'll find divine clarity. A restless heart can't hear the soft whisper of God. Instead of chasing answers everywhere, try stopping and listening. It might feel counterintuitive, but that's the secret that transforms lives. Those who have learned to slow down, to value moments of silent reflection, have discovered God's voice guiding their every step. And it's no coincidence that these individuals seem to always be on the right path, making decisions others wouldn't dare. They've mastered the power of silence, and now you can too. People who have unlocked the ability to hear God's voice know He doesn't just speak in dramatic moments. God communicates in the smallest things, in a stranger's words, in the behavior of an animal, in the gentle breeze. But here's the truth most don't understand. God is already speaking to you. The problem is you're not listening. And if you continue to ignore these signs, you might miss out on the great blessings that are already set aside for you. Have you ever had that moment when a decision felt right in your heart, even though there was no logical reason? That's God's voice. He whispers through our instincts, through our hearts, and it's up to us to discern and follow. Yet many ignore this divine guidance and fall into life's traps. You don't want to be one of them. You want to be in control, to hear and act according to the plan God has already set for you. But the truth is, this is no easy task. It's a challenge few are willing to undertake. Listening to God requires you to step out of your comfort zone, to let go of the distractions that keep you from hearing His voice. It requires commitment, patience, and faith. But those who embrace this journey find their lives transformed in ways they never imagined. They find themselves walking a path that is not only fulfilling, but guided by a force far greater than themselves. Right now, you have a choice. You can continue living the same way, disconnected, frustrated, wondering why you can't feel God's presence. Or you can decide to open your heart, silence the voices around you, and finally hear what God has to say. This isn't for everyone, but if you've come this far, there's a reason. Perhaps God is using this very moment to finally get your attention. Don't let this opportunity slip away. God is waiting for you to take the first step. Now that you know the secret, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep living a life of uncertainty? Or will you commit to listening to the voice that can guide every one of your steps? God is speaking. The question is, Are you listening? There is power in stillness, power in surrender, power in acknowledging that you don't always have the answers, but God does. The world pushes you to solve everything, to plan for every outcome, but that's not how divine guidance works. Trust isn't built on control. It's built on faith. The kind of faith that allows you to step into the unknown, knowing God has already paved the way for you. That's the type of faith that hears His voice clearly. When you learn to trust that God's timing and messages are perfect, the struggles you face won't seem as overwhelming. You'll start to see that the delays, the detours, and even the closed doors were all part of a divine orchestration. God's voice isn't just guiding you to what you want. It's steering you toward what you need. And the more you listen, the clearer His voice becomes. So ask yourself, are you ready to hear Him? Are you willing to quiet the noise, to tune into that still, small voice, and trust that every word He speaks is leading you exactly where you're meant to go? The answer lies within you, and God is waiting for you to unlock it.